Okay, so we're going to go over making a Matlab app. So we're going to go to New, App. We can save this app as whatever we want. Let's call it example app. Okay, so then we have two views. We have the designer view and the code view. That's everything that's in behind. So let's put it in a edit field where we can put in a number. We're going to make a very simple type of calculator in a way. We're going to put in some buttons. I want to move this guy back up actually. Then I'm going to put in a label box. I'm going to make that look like this. I'm going to put in another label box. Okay, now we need to name everything. So this edit field, I'm going to rename as num1. This second field, I'm going to rename num2. I'm going to say number1. I'll displace the user. Number 2. Okay, this button, I'm going to replace with plus symbol, minus symbol, multiply symbol, divide symbol. And I'm going to have add nums app divide nums multiply nums. Oh, I misnamed it. I want this one to be subtract. And then this one I want to be divide nums. Okay. This label is the results. I'm just going to make that appear as a blank. I'm going to bring it up here, but I'm going to make it wide just in case it needs to output like a large number. Okay, so we're now ready to go into the back of the code. So we go to the code view, and here's what's nice is that a lot of the stuff is grayed out, so I can't accidentally like erase this stuff and screw up my app. So what you do instead is let's say you wanted something to happen when you press the add nums button. So you can go to callbacks, add button pushed callback. So this creates a space, and this white line is the only place that I can type in stuff, but I can do exactly what I want it to. So I wanted to say app.results.value equals num to string app.num1.value plus app.num2.value. So if we run just this, only the add functionality is going to be in here yet, but if you press hold on, I'm going to figure out what I messed up. Okay, I figured out what it was. It was the label doesn't have a value box, it has a text box. So try this again, run this new version of it, and let's say I add the 2, it's going to show up as 0 if I put it like a 3 or something else in here. So let's just real quick make some functionality for these other ones. So I'm going to add a callback for each of these buttons. I'm just going to copy and paste this line in there. And so this time I wanted to subtract those two numbers. This time I wanted to multiply those two numbers. This time I want to divide those two numbers. Okay, so let's save that and let's run it. So let's say my first number is 9, second number is 3. Add the numbers, subtract the numbers, multiply the numbers, and divide the numbers. So really easy, a lot of stuff is taken care of for you. So let's say you wanted to create like a new public property that could be used sort of throughout your application. So we would create a new num variable. And we could set it to like an initial value, so like 23. So let's say we wanted to access this in another part of our program or something. Sorry, the heater just turned on. So let's drag in another button, and we're just gonna say display new number. Great. And then come here, we can say callbacks. So as you can see, there's a couple different places through which you can create a callback. If you ever need to get rid of them, you can come to the callbacks and then you can just like hit delete. But we actually want that one, so I'm going to bring it back. Callbacks, add callback. Okay. So what if we say instead app results, but we're just going to have it give app new num. So it's taken that public property and just accessed it, which is a lot easier than doing it in the old Matlab guide way. So let's do one more thing. Let's bring in an axes, and let's bring in a slider. Sure. So let's make a callback for the slider. So here we grab the value of the slider. So let's do this. Let's do plot app.UI axes. Let's have it go from 0 to 10. And let's have the y-axis be multiplied by this value. So whenever you change this, it updates the graph. So graphing is super easy. There was one thing I wanted to check on, so I'm going to do that real quick, and then I want to show you. You can't set the value of the app slider in this way. You have to do something slightly different, but I'll show you just real quick. Okay, so turns out it's super easy. So let's say at the beginning of the app, I want it to have a different value than 0, right? So I come to my slider, I come to the configurations tab, right? So slider configurations, and I want its initial value to be like 20 instead of starting at 0, okay? So if I run my app, it's going to start at 20, but let's say there's some function, maybe it's when I display the new number function, I want the app value to change. So I would say app dot slider dot value. It was easier than I thought, and then you'd say maybe app dot new num. And maybe let's change the value of new num so it's a little bit easier to see the difference. Maybe it's 35. So we run the app. So now our slider starts at 20. You know, we can move it down to 10 or something. Okay. But now we display the new number, and you see that that jumped up. So it's really easy to plot stuff. It's really easy to change stuff. So the last thing that I think I want to show real quick is we've talked about callbacks, talked about properties. Functions, again, are just super easy. So you create a function name. Oh, you can make it public if you want. I think there's different benefits, but if it's a simple app, everything can be private. Doesn't really make a huge difference. So let's call it add nums, and you'd pass in like a num1, num2. So you'd get results equals num1 plus num2. And nums2, let's name it something that it's not going to be mad about. It was mad because add nums was like really similar to the add nums button pushed. So I just changed the name so it'd be happy. Okay, so let's do this instead. Instead of adding these two numbers in here, let's grab our function that we just made. So we're going to go app dot add nums together, which is the function that we just wrote. Now it has 3 parameters, one of which is app, but we just ignore this one, and it just knows that it passes the app with itself. Okay, so then we put in app dot num1 dot value and app dot num2 dot value. So if this worked, we should see that when we put in some numbers here, that the adding functionality works just as it did before. But what's different now is that we used our own function that we made. So create new property functions, you can create new properties, callbacks. It's really easy to access graphs and everything like that. Okay, so I just wanted to show you one more quick thing. So the way that our app was running currently, it looked like this, where we were plotting. You put in the axes and then the x and y values. If you want to make it a 3D plot, it's as simple as changing this to plot 3 and then giving it another value. So then you could say run. And now when you move the slider, this graph becomes like a 3D graph. And I think you can even turn on like rotation. Yeah, so you can even rotate it. And then the last thing that I want to do real quick is just show that there's lots of different things that you can do. You can do a drop down, a checkbox, list box, radio button group, slider. You can put in tables. You can put in these fun gauge thingies. You can put in a knob, a switch, a rocker switch, or this cute little toggle switch. So I think that there's a lot of cool functionality, and I think it's a lot better than Guide used to be.